Callum Robinson and all that stuff.
I know, yeah. What an idiot. He's had it twice.
I mean, it's such a high percentage of footballers who like, nah, not worth the risk.
It's just,
getting the vaccine.
They're so thick.
I wonder, like, is it a weird kind of mentality of like the fear of the unknown? It's like, well, if I get COVID, I'll probably survive, but I don't know what might happen to get the vaccine. It's like, yeah, I suppose, but like, it's kind of selfish all the same.
Yeah,
like,
it's just, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? Like, people are fucking sick of talking about, like, it's not for you. You get it so that you don't make other people sick.
Yeah, it's become like a weird. It's almost like I don't know what's like an opinion that it's almost become like religion at this point.
Yeah,
Like the vaccine. It's like, listen, I'm not trying to force it on anybody. Okay, I'm just saying I enjoy religion. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying it adds a lot to my life, and it's like that kind of not even touching with like a 10-foot pole. It's like it's just my opinion. And it's just like, I don't know. It's all kind of well, do you know what it is? You know that kind of thing of like, people say, oh, we're living in a simulation when stuff happens. It's like the previous, ever since I guess Trump was elected, and the whole fake news stuff, and just like the dismantling of trusted news sites, and everything was like opinion based. And then you had, obviously, on this side of the water, you had Brexit, where they just lied, and they put like slogans on buses to get what they wanted. And then it's like, well, what's the worst? As at trust in news is at an all-time low. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Right now.
Like, if this was a simulation, this is exactly what they'd be doing. They'd set it up like, okay, let them stop trust each other, and then, all right, you have two choices: get the vaccine or don't. So maybe. I mean, I would be pissed if we're in a simulation. I would be pissed off.
I would be too. We're only getting this many downloads, and it's not even real. This is bullshit.
That would be sad if we came out of the simulation and you started a podcast with your imaginary friend. It doesn't exist. You come out, it's like it's a totally different group of friends. Like, oh, I was like, who's Will? Where'd you come Will from? Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know how I come with Will. I just thought him up, I guess. Like, that was weird, man. Why did you start a podcast?
That was a weird 42 years of podcasting you did.
It's only like 2 minutes in the arcade. This guy's taking Roy off the grid.
This guy doesn't have a social security number for Roy.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before.
Nonsense. Talking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would Clubsy say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast with Cathal and Will. It's international break, which means everyone's favourite competition. That's to say, the Carabao Cup of international competitions, which is to say the best competition. The Nations League made a glorious return.
There was zero talk about this at all. I did, like you said before, probably this episode
this
starts.
show was for sure.
Didn't even know this was happening. I found out while I was in work that I was missing it.
I was going to say, we did not see a game of this caliber coming, but we literally didn't know it was even on, so we obviously didn't see it coming.
I didn't know it was happening so much that I missed the first one, saw it was at work, and then the next day the same thing happened again.
But like, and this is the thing, like, we've given a fair bit of abuse, and I think rightfully so, to FIFA and UEFA, but I think they got this one right. This was really good.
Turns out we just make they knew what they were doing with that Super League thing, I think.
This Nations League would be a mini little tournament, week-long tournament in the middle of October. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal. We had Spain versus Italy, a replay of the semi-final, the Euro semi-final. A cracking game, like I say. Didn't know it was on, but when it was on, I was fully tuned in. Two really good sides to watch. These days. Italy, obviously, we all know about Italy and their how good they are to watch. And Spain, obviously, under Luis Enrique, he's trying his best to get them to play like that 2015 Barcelona team. He had Neymar, Messi, and Suarez just like scoring loads of goals.
Yeah.
And that is how he's trying to get them to play. And like I say, Italy. I mean, Chiesa, he's one of the few players that I saw before he exploded globally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like during the Euros, everyone's like, this Chiesa kid is unbelievable, and his dad just playing, blah, blah. Because I remember watching him for Juve in the Champions League when they lost to Porto. I think he scored 4 goals over the 2 legs. It's like, Jesus, this guy is so direct. He's like going straight for goal. And like, there's obviously been loads of direct players. I mean, I think like Dan James or, you know, Adama Shore. Like, there's lots of direct players out there. But I mean,
he can also score.
he can also score. But his close control, like his touch to go by players, like running full to that them and then just like tipping around them and then continue sprinting. It's like, Jesus, like he's so good to watch. And it's probably part of the reason why I tipped them to win the whole thing. Why I tipped Italy to win the Euro, which, in case you forgot, Will, I did do.
You did call it.
Just put all your money on Italy to win the Euro 2020. I did call it based on one article I read.
Which called it.
But also... Which tipped them as one of the favourites. I said my outright favourite. And also I watched Chiesa for Juve lose to Porto. I thought he's going to win the whole thing.
He's got it. There's no chance.
But yeah, I mean, he was great going forwards. Doesn't love going backwards, though. Not really his thing. And as good as he was, it was only 17 minutes before Alonso and Orazabal down that wing set up the first goal. Now, look, you know, Alonso's been playing well recently, Will.
Yeah. And do I hear the sirens going?
Would you say he's maybe the best left back in the world right now?
I don't know. It feels like anytime that argument comes up, I immediately forget every other left back in the world. It's like, maybe.
Well, this is the thing. Like when you say that, what you're saying is I've been watching a lot of Premier League recently, and I watched the Italy-Spain game, and I thought they won that game too.
Not even a lot of Premier League. I've been watching a lot of the very, very biggest teams in the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, it's less than I know we literally talked about this last week. Don't adjust your podcast listening devices. This isn't last week's episode. I know, but it's something that it's one of my least favorite things of football fandom.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because it's like it's less than the player of the month.
Yeah.
That's of all players. This is a specific position of I'm guessing the last 4 weeks, whatever right now means.
Right now means after the last game.
Yeah, like if you, at the end of the season, like you know, we'll get on to later on, but Newcastle United aren't going to buy Alonso on the back of he had a really good month there from September to October. Like he was probably the best back in the world back then for that time. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, if he's the best left back last season, it's like, yeah, he's had a really good season. He's a solid player. It's a good time to buy him, but not on the back of a month. It doesn't translate to anything. That's what annoys me. It doesn't translate to anything concrete that would result in even a pay rise for himself. He's not going to go out and go, lads, remember October? I mean, it's like, yeah, but then we benched you in December. He didn't play again. Yeah, but October though, that was I was on fire.
For right then, I was the best in the world right then.
And the worst thing is, it sounds like I'm having to go at Alonso, which I don't. And honestly, when I saw him playing, I saw him starting, it was because Jordi Alba wasn't fit, apparently. So when I saw him playing and starting, I was literally like, I was hoping he would play well. Because I hate to see someone like who's been playing well and then they make the step up and they make a mistake and go, he was never good enough. I was hoping he would make a mistake and he'd play well. Same with the Azpilicueta when he got called up for the Euros. I was like, please just let him have a solid tournament. Like, I'd hate to see him, you know, wait all his career for this moment and then, you know, blow it. I think as it was.
A good example of that, like the best in the world thing versus of the month. Did you see Arteta won manager of the month? Did you see any calls for him being the best manager in the world right now in the last month?
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's like, it's a little kind of a hat tip. Like, you had a good month.
Yeah.
Here's a little trophy, and that's all that should be made of it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And it's like, and again, it's not like he's the best manager in the world of the month. He's the best Premier League manager of the month. Like, yeah, if you're going to make these like short-term awards, you have to make it narrower than best left back in the world right now.
Yeah.
What does that, like, there's no way you watch all left backs in the world playing.
That's what they should change the man of the match trophy to. They should say the best player in the world right now and give it out after every match.
Oh, God. it's literally that kind of mentality to say. Enough of this. This is not the fucking Carl's pet peeves hour. Okay, this is just something that annoys me. But like I say, he did play well, and they had to move Bernardeschi onto that right wing. Again, not that Chiesa wasn't tracking Alonso, but Di Lorenzo needed help to mark Razabal. They needed to probably double up on that wing. It kept coming on that side. They change up a little bit, like I say, put Bernardeschi down there, but part of it came from that they were losing the middle as well, Italy. And look, we all know about Koke and Busquets. But this Ravi fella, 17. It's like 17 in like 56 days, or like it's youngest player to ever make a debut, to ever play for Spain. Obviously, if he makes a debut, it's the youngest player to ever play. Youngest player to ever play for Spain. And he was unbelievable. People were saying, yeah, he's very like Pedri. And he has the same ability as Pedri, who was injured. That's why he wasn't playing. But he also has like the same kind of directness. Like he was just running at that Spain team, running them off their feet. He was squaring up to Verratti at one stage. Like he just like he reminds me, and people might laugh, but like he does kind of remind me of Jack Wilshere when he was younger. And like sadly for Jack Wilshere, his highlight of his career was the game against Barcelona.
Yeah.
And what stood out was like, because it was against Xavi yesterday, and there was like no fear. It was like, I know you're better than me, I know you're more accomplished than me, but I'm playing you right now. I'm the best player in the world right now. I'm going to go and attack you. I don't care what your reputation is. And Ravi was that same thing. He was like just going at like former Ballon d'Or best player in the world right now, Jorginho. Verratti. And there's a great shot actually of Jorginho, Verratti, I think Insigne on the bench, looking absolutely wrecked after he'd taken off, and Ravi was still there, like his hair like just bounced around in the breeze, like just this unstoppable 17-year-old kid. Like they have him, they obviously have Pedri,
which is insane. Even having two of them alone is mental. That's your midfield sorted forever.
Plus Ferran Torres, Yermi Pino, who came on, who had made a good impact as well. Like. The Spain team is definitely a young coming team.
Yeah, and there's not too many of them in international football. Like, talk about Belgium, where it's still the last generation kind of winding down, but there's no signs of the next players popping up. But, like, to have such young lads like Pedri and him, that's such a good sign. Like, and there's definitely going to be more then, because if your leagues or whatever are producing those players, you're going to be fucking flying it.
Yeah, and if you say for Spain, like from 2012 to now, they were the lean years. Fuck off. They qualified for every tournament. Fuck that.
They don't know what it's like.
I don't know. It's like they didn't miss out on one. Like even like France and England, like they were like dark days for them. But the odd time they used to miss out on tournaments.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, if Spain are already back,
they beat us didn't they beat us like 4-0 in the middle of one of their lean years?
I mean, I like to say the lean years are still with Koke and Busquets and so on. Like Pau Torres, Emerick Laporte. Like it's a good Spain team. Obviously there was Ravi and Pedro come, but it's still some of those Spain players in their prime right now. So I mean, look, they beat Italy there the last day. And Italy, they made a lot of substitutions. Mancini, he threw this kitchen sink at us, as they say. He brought on Locatelli. They brought on Locatelli, Moise Kean. They brought on Chiellini, obviously, for the red card. Did you see the red card?
No, I did not see the red card. Describe it to me.
It was 2 yellows for Bonucci. The first yellow was for mouthing, for the they surround the referee and they scream and shout and they put their hands in little pinches,
little teeny crab claws.
The dark arts.
They were too dark.
They got a little bit too dark there, the dark arts. And look, we all like watching that attacking Italy side, and that's kind of how we can forgive the dark arts a bit. But this ref was in no mood. I think it was after Spain had scored, so Italy were like really, pushing the dark arts, trying to influence their free, trying to get frees. There's one, like, it was a bit of bite in the game. I mean, it wasn't. It was definitely like the Premier League this year. Just a lot of tackles that were being frees over the years, and it kind of wound people up a bit.
Yeah.
No more so than Bonucci, who was hounding the referee, and the referee finally said, "Listen, man, here's a yellow. Fuck off."
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I think it was, I don't know who was in commentary. I was watching on Virgin, and he was like, a strong referee would have had a word with him and said, right, less of that kind of now. It's like, I think the yellow card did the same job, actually.
Yeah, I think that is a strong referee to be like, fuck off, here, take this.
Yeah.
Here's a punishment
like,
for your actions.
And it's like, you know, like I say, you forgive Italy for the dark cards, mainly because they beat England, let's be honest, but whatever. Like, it's not like the rules changed and the ref should have had a word, hey lads, in this game, I don't want to be surrounded. All right? I know in other games I do want that to happen, but this game I'm having a word. And like the rules are the same. They know what they're doing. They're pushing the envelope, they're the rules. So they get a yellow. That is the risk you run. Bonucci got the first yellow. And the second one, it was for an elbow. The two lads jumped for the ball and Bonucci just elbowed, I think it was, or Azabal maybe Laporte, elbowed him side the jaw, side the head.
Yeah.
And on the replay, it looked even worse because it showed him like taking a quick glance at him first and then leading with the elbow. One of those ones.
Yeah.
Could be in a red, like, you know, maybe that's a bit harsh, but it could be in a red. It was yellow.
He looked at him, saw where he was, and attacked him, you're saying.
Yeah. And as he jumped for the ball, and then Bonucci misses the ball as well.
Oh, no.
So they both jump for the ball and nobody gets the ball except one person gets an elbow inside the head. You know, it's like, it was fairly blatant now, especially in replays. So he goes off then, and then like there's no comeback really from that.
Yeah.
They took off Bernardeschi, brought on Chiellini. And Chiellini was just like right back in there with the dark cards himself, like dive in and scream at the ref.
He tagged out Bonucci and came in and did took over.
Pretty much. And it was actually Chiesa and Di Lorenzo who pressed Spain high off a corner, actually. Off a Spain corner, came out to Spain and Chiesa and Lorenzo ran length the pitch and got one back. But that was kind of one lapse, like, because Italy were pressing hard, were tackling hard, but they just couldn't get the ball off Spain. You know, they're way too good. And a real accomplished performance by Spain. And it wasn't like Italy didn't show up. You know what I mean? A lot of times, like, Italy were tired or they weren't the same. Like, Italy were as good as they have been, but Spain were just better. So it's, like I say, scary stuff for anyone else watching that Spain team. Like, teenagers running around, you know,
bossing
the European champions, who actually played well. It wasn't even that they played badly. You know, they played well themselves. So, unbelievable stuff, really. And then the other game, I suppose, the other semi-final, the other knockout stage was Belgium versus France.
Yeah. This was one, again, I didn't see the full games, but I watched the highlights of both. But the highlights to this game were literally like, we joke about it sometimes, like watching a Pepsi ad. Every goal and every attack was like step overs and people like getting nutmegged. It was amazing.
It was. And the game was like that. I mean, it was very end to end, you know.
Yeah.
And the first half, Belgium, you know, I thought Kevin De Bruyne was excellent in the middle. He had a few chances he could have put. Could put Lukaku in a bit more, maybe. That's probably maybe in a bit harsh because, like, France obviously defended well as well. It wasn't just that De Bruyne was bad, but it's like one of the things we say, like, is there ever a team that you say they may rue these missed chances and then they go on to not rue them, you know? Like, if it had been 3 or 4-0, you know, I guess it's a big if because, like, say, it was Koundé and who else was the other centre back, actually? They had Koundé as one of the centre backs. He was excellent. I think it would be Varane as well. I think they had Koundé, Varane, and Hernandez in the back three. And I'll tell you what, Will, I was all set to my classic the Hernandez brothers bit. You may remember that bit from the Silva brothers bit at Man City. It turns out they actually are brothers, which I didn't realise.
Raging.
Yeah. Theo Hernandez and I think it's Marcus Hernandez, maybe not Marcus.
Sure.
Lucas? But they are brothers. Lucas and Theo. Yeah, Lucas and Theo Hernandez. They are brothers. They played quite well, actually. One Hernandez got done by Lukaku for the goal, but I think it was mainly Lloris who was getting the flack for that one, for the Lukaku goal, because he was on the near side.
He just rifled it over his head.
Yeah, I mean, hard to stop that.
Yeah,
that
it's
angle.
good. I mean, unreal shot,
but like a ridiculous shot to take, like because think, well, the goal will stop that, but no such luck for Lloris. Then the other goal, who scored the other goal? Oh, Carrasco. Yeah, Carrasco scored the first one.
Which was ridiculous again, as well. It was like
he cut inside, but
yeah, Lloris was kind of stuck. He was planted into the ground because it just rolled by him. But it didn't look like he was doing anything wrong. It's just like it just bounced weirdly, and he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, he went to go far corner, and he cut in on the near post. And Luis kind of looked like he was stuck to the ground.
Yeah.
And honestly, it looked like the game was over, really. Like, I mean, Belgium looked really good. France looked like, the same old problems, kind of like loads of good players, but they can't put together. Like I say, they were attacking well, and they were stepping over, and it looked like a Pepsi ad, but there was no end product for France.
Yeah.
And the second half, they came out, and they were unbelievable. And they just, they pressed really, really high. And, I mean, look, back in the Euros, I asked you, was this the end of the goal generation for Belgium? And you said, yeah, you think those defenders need to go, they pass it, it's over. And I've no doubt that's what motivated them in the first half.
Yeah.
But in the second half, they looked exactly like you say. Well, look past it. Vertonghen, Alderweireld. They looked like they couldn't hang with the likes of Mbappe and Benzema, who were.
Yeah. I mean, not many people can. Yeah, it's insane. He did it again. He is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, it was the Mbappe first step over and then just walked by Tielemans. And then got the ball into Benzema, who's literally surrounded by three players, managed to get the ball and then right into the corner.
Yeah,
against Thibaut Courtois, who he says he doesn't care about this stupid competition and never want to win anyways. But it looked like you were diving pretty hard to save that goal and you couldn't get there, Thibaut. But like I say, it all came from the press from the French in the second half. It was. I just kind of thought like this is going to happen in the second half. I did not see France actually coming out and bothering because it's Nations League, because it's like who cares?
Yeah.
But Belgium were as shocked as anyone, I think, that France was so good in the second half. And then it was the penalty. Did you see the penalty?
I did, yeah.
Thoughts?
I think he touched him. It's hard to tell anymore because again, it's one that last year would have been given, but this year maybe not. But then it was given. So then you're like, what are the rules? I guess, yeah.
He definitely, it's one of those ones where you kind of nip in front.
Yeah.
And then you
just tapped his ankle, does it?
And then he goes down. But is there not an intent rule? It's not like if you're not actually going to tackle him. Like if you're going for the ball and he nips in front, isn't that what remember Timo Werner last year? He ran from behind the defender and just snuck in and got kicked, even though everyone knew he was trying to kick the ball, trying to clear the ball, and that's why he wasn't given, apparently.
Yeah.
But then this one, definitely the same situation. He was trying to clear the ball. It's inconsistency, Will.
Yeah,
that's what people get confused about, because it's like, well, I really don't know. Is that a rule, or is that just something I heard on a podcast?
Yeah. And as well, in the Prem, especially this year, people are getting fucking bowled over all over the pitch, and it's not even a free. So then when something light happens like that, and it's a penalty, it's like, well, now I'm very confused. I've seen people literally get put on stretchers, and it's not a foul.
Yeah. Prayers up, Harvey Elvis. Don't never forget. That wasn't even a foul, don't forget. But this was a penalty. And I mean, you might say, oh, well, great, penalty, give it to your, 200 million signing Mbappe, one of the best players in the world. But if you remember the last time Mbappe took a penalty, probably the worst moment of his career.
Yeah, and he pretty much said as much this week.
He said he wanted to retire.
He said all through this week he wanted to retire. He said he was thinking about taking a break from the French national team. He said he fucking hates being at PSG pretty much. He can't believe he's still stuck there.
I mean, he must have a terrible PR person. Or no PR person.
Every
time he speaks, he comes across as like the most spoiled brat ever.
A fucking idiot, yeah. Honest to God, it would take a lot for you to think, God, I hope the club I support never signs Mbappe.
Yeah.
But every time he talks, it just seems like he is, I don't know, something's up with him.
Yeah, it's never good. It's never
Yeah.
like I want to take this moment to thank my teammates or something like that. You know, it's always like I want to be on free kicks. I hate this. I want
Yeah.
to retire from this. I'm bored of this. You know, but nevertheless, he steps up against. I think as Brian Kerr said, I think he's 6'7", 6'8". Thibaut Courtois. I was like, I think he's maybe 6'5". I think
Yeah,
he's getting taller by the day.
6'8".
I don't think he's 6'8".
He's as tall as the
Maybe-
fucking Big Show.
Maybe Wingspan. Maybe he's thinking about Wingspan. You know, he's maybe watching the NBA preseason. He's getting carried away. But nevertheless, a pressure penalty, and he went the right way. So
Yeah.
he had to make sure he couldn't just like I want to get on target because it's one of those goalies you get on target to save it.
Yeah.
You have to lash in one side or the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to say I was surprised it went in. I thought he was going to save it.
Yeah.
And that equalised us.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, Belgium.
Yeah.
Belgium. You can't even win the Carabao Cup, Belgium. You know, this is fucked. And at that point, I was like, no, this is. I don't know. Did it go to penalties or wherever it went to? I was like, there's no way they're going to win. Whatever the situation is, Belgium are not going to win this game. And almost immediately, they went down and scored. And I was like, oh, well, that shows how much I know. One of the few chances they created, and that's obviously, you know, the danger of pressing high that you leave space behind.
Yeah.
And I think it was Carrasco was off initially, the ball to Carrasco, and then he put a ball into Lukaku, who was also maybe marginally offside.
Yeah.
But it was an unbelievable goal, but just offside. So it was back to 2-2. I think at that point, again, I was wrong. I thought now France are going to hold what they have.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to think this is too risky now. We don't want to lose this game after clawing it back. But that's not what happened. They got again, like I say, I was wrong. They got the third goal. Another sweeping move, which culminated in Theo Hernandez getting his first goal for France as a left wing back. He was left out of the Euro squad actually. To a lot of people's, I guess people who actually watch different leagues, he was the best left back in the world according to some for AC Milan. So yeah, he gets the winner, his first goal, and no VAR thankfully, and just cut to Lukaku and Vertonghen just absolutely distraught. They didn't look like they didn't care about the competition at that point. They looked like they'd blown it again and really knew about it.
So when's the final then?
Sunday.
Savage.
I tell you, it's like a mini Euros just this week. You know, two.
Maybe
and then you have.
Maybe Wenger knew what he was talking about with that whole tournament every year thing.
Maybe. Well, look, we have the Nations League now. We have the final, like I said, Sunday. We have the third place playoff on.
I think that might have been the game Courtois was like, why the fuck are we playing a third place playoff for this stupid tournament? No one even knows it's on.
Yeah, it's not the Olympics. We don't need bronze medals here. You know, we only need silver medals. We need a trophy and gold medals. That's it.
Was there ever a third place playoff in the Euros, or have they done away with that? I know they did them in the World Cup, but there definitely wasn't one this year in the Euros.
I don't think there was. Maybe
I
it was
remember
a COVID thing too.
Maybe, yeah. Because I remember the 2002 World Cup. Was it Turkey playing in the third place playoff against Korea? Because I remember watching that and halfway through going, what the fuck is this? Why am I watching this? Like, why would these players give a shit about this?
I think Belgium won third in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Brazil
Yeah, I
lost
think
that
so.
one. They got beaten badly by Germany and then beaten by Belgium in the third place playoff. So,
But it's weird to have one for the Nations League, but not for the Euros.
yeah, no, definitely. Like you say, it's an extra game.
Yeah,
you know, for the Nations League, and like I say, I welcome it. Depends how the game goes, but I mean, if it's anything like the semi-finals, they were two really good games. And look, I mean, because it's the Nations League and it's you're still trying to make the squad. I mean, for players who aren't maybe nailed on, it's another chance to play a game for Belgium or for Italy. So I think it could still has the potential to be a good game. I'm definitely looking forward to the final. Having not watched the games, Will, who do you fancy for the final?
France.
France?
Yeah.
France! Yeah. I mean, it's big for France. I think it's probably biggest for Benzema, really.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he is really good. He's really, really good. But he played in 2016. Did he not? Did he really not? I don't think he played in 2016.
No, I don't think so. I think that
No,
was...
I think he was banned. That's before, just
that
after it
was the
happened.
year, I think, yeah.
And they lost the final. And you had Drew up front.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, there's kind of an elephant in the room here, or more importantly, not in the room. And, we should have him. And then 2 years later, they win the World Cup with Mbappe, the next, Ronaldo de Lima, the second coming of him. Like, he's that good. So it's all good. And then he comes back this year, this year for the Euros, and they underwhelm. And it's like,
And people were crying that he wasn't playing for France.
and it's like there's no kind of like he's not actually taken away. If anything, Mbappe is taken away more than Benzema ever has.
Yeah,
Benzema's actually the quieter of the two. He gets along, he scores goals, but they just don't win.
Yeah.
So it's not even that if they don't win, people will be like, "Oh, get rid of Benzema," because he's been pretty good. They just haven't won. But I think for him personally, he's kind of missed out on the World Cup. He hasn't won the Euros. If he doesn't win the Nations League, it's just like it's not even that. Oh yeah, well at least I have the Nations League that I can hang up my wall. But it's more, I think, for his own vindication, for himself to come back. Like, it was worth it at least to win something with France to actually be somewhat successful. If he doesn't win this as well, it's like, should I give up? Because he is 33.
Yeah,
he probably wants to prolong his domestic career as long as he can. He thinks, do they really need me for the World Cup in Qatar? Do I want to go to the World Cup in Qatar?
For an outsider as well, it seems like the French national team is just constant drama, and there's always something. There's always in the news, like someone's always in the news complaining about the team. So, like if he's 33, he might just be thinking like, oh fuck this, it's not really worth it, is it? Like to have Mbappe fucking talking about me, or Giroud's talking about me, or whatever the fuck.
Or worse, being asked about Mbappe. What's Mbappe like? It's like, So I think that's for Deschamps. Again, you don't want to lose another final. You don't want to you lost obviously the 2016, underwhelmed in this tournament, and like we were saying before, once it gets to you've lost more than you've won, it's like maybe this was just a really good team and you underperformed as a manager. So it's important for him as well. Maybe not as important as the World Cup in Qatar in a year's time, but not unimportant either for Didier. For Spain, I think it's like say mark the end of the bad years, which is a couple of that with the win. That would be nice for them. And again, for the manager, it'd be huge for Luis Enrique to say, look, what I'm doing here actually is working. So I'm looking forward to it. It'd be like I say, a nice little treat. I was expecting an Ireland heavy international break, but there's actually some really exciting games on.
Yeah. So we've Azerbaijan tomorrow. Do you think we can get the win in Baku, the giant stadium as well?
Is it the Giants? Oh, sorry. I bet it's called
the Giant Stadium in
like
America.
The Baku Giants. That enormous stadium. I mean, I wouldn't say it'd be filled. That's the only thing. I wouldn't say the Azerbaijanis will be filling out the Baku Stadium, but it's been a tough time for the Irish squad recently. With kind of COVID talk and vaccines. I'm not sure how the squad is. And I mean, just on form domestically, we haven't been going that well.
Yeah.
But I think there is still a chance we can win. Azerbaijan aren't great, but they are at home. Kenny, like you were saying, every game, he needs a win here. He needs this. He needs to show that it's working. It's weird because we were so invested before, and then we take how many months off, and now we're back in it. And we're like, what's going on here with this? Is this working? I hope we get the win. It's kind of we wait and see, I suppose. But I wouldn't be surprised if we lost.
Exactly. I wonder, is that the end of them then? If it does, because I mean, there's definitely you have to win every game left, really. To
if
qualify.
You want to get the haircut, we do.
Yeah. So I don't know if he takes the haircut away from us all. I think he's getting a sack.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, like I say, who's coming in now? I'd say all the big names are probably waiting for Newcastle United to see how that situation rolls out before they take the second biggest job, the Republic of Ireland job.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. I could see fucking Steve Bruce going there.
Steve Bruce to Ireland. Kenny to Newcastle. Hey, he plays overly expensive stuff. Perfect for Mbappe. Well, yeah, I suppose we should probably just get on to the biggest news of the day. I mean, the Nations League was great and all, but I mean, some earth-shattering Premier League shifting news.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been on the card for what 18 months now. The Saudi Arabian sovereign fund,
Which
not
it
to
seemed.
be-
I didn't know that it was being like one of the reasons it was stopped so much was other clubs were like, no, you're not letting them in. Like apparently Man City were very against it, and I think Liverpool and United were very against it. Which is just like, that's not really fair either. Like obviously it's awful that it's going to be fucking Saudi Arabia taking over, but that does scream of like, we can't let another good team in the league.
Oh, I thought the biggest issue was the BN Sports thing.
Yeah, it was that. I think that's what I thought too. But I was reading yesterday that apparently lots of teams were very vocal about not letting them in as well, and like citing the human rights stuff as if fucking
Yeah. I don't know if that mattered, honestly. I think they may
Yeah.
have been saying that, but I think they were the equivalent of the Newcastle fans of the last 14
Yeah.
years, where I don't care what you do. I'm waiting until someone buys us for 200 million.
Yeah,
Um,
there's
look, this
there's an amazing quote from Harry Redknapp. Did you see when Poch was linked with Arsenal, and he was like, "Of course they'll want them. If if Saddam Hussein came in when he was knocking about and started winning things, all the Arsenal fans would be singing, 'There's only one Saddam Hussein.'"
and that's prophetic, actually, in the recent few days. And look, obviously you can say, I mean, even look at Mike Ashley, who obviously owns Sports Direct, and you can point to the 0 hour contracts that they were. Remember that scandal a few months ago?
Yeah,
Probably not, but there was some minor scandal. It's like anybody who makes billions of pounds in any capacity, like you do have to step over people. You have to, take advantage of people. Like it is just the reality of it.
Yeah.
But I think the Saudis are showing Mike Ashley levels right now. As the kids say on Twitter, just levels to this.
Yeah, ratio.
And it's just like, yeah, you've been ratioed, man. Because like it's just the Saudi Arabian, and again, that's Saudi Arabian government, nothing to do with them, totally separate entity, of course.
No, it's Amanda Stavely and some dude who's
the Saudi
not-
Arabian sovereign
not the
fund, I think is
government,
what it's called,
yeah.
or something like that.
but
I don't know.
it's
Whatever. It's just like they stand. They fly in the face of everything that the Premier League supposedly stands for.
yeah.
In Saudi Arabia, like homosexuality is punishable by public whipping or chemical castration.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that jive with the rainbow laces?
Yeah.
Or like those fucking ads that's on Sky Sports News. It's like, we're in to kick it out. We stand against all forms of discrimination and racism. It's like, well, not all forms though. Well, like it's just like all this kind of. And look, we saw it again. I think Alonso for Chelsea and Zaha, they're not doing the take a knee because it feels like kind of faux morality almost.
Yeah.
You let someone like the Saudi Arabians come in to own a club like that, and like I say, it's like they don't stand for what you supposedly stand for.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it there earlier. The only reason that took 18 months was because beIN Sports, Qatari television program, the home of Richard Keys, remember him? There was like another Saudi Arabian company who were basically bootlegging. They were streaming beIN Sports for free in Saudi Arabia, and it was a conspiracy. Apparently, the conspiracy was backed by the Saudi Arabian government, and beIN Sports are a major partner of the Premier League.
Yeah.
So beIN Sports were saying to the Premier League, like, you can't let these guys in. Like, they're directly undermining us. We're one of your biggest partners. I mean, they're taking the piss out of us here. They're stealing our stuff. Like, you can't let them in. Like, no way.
Yeah.
So the Premier League had no, they had no problem with the human rights stuff. The problem with the homosexuality, or the homophobia, I should say.
Yeah.
Or the
endless
stuff.
list. Yeah.
Like any of that stuff. It wasn't about any of that stuff. It was about the money. It's always been about the money. And until that, once that, I think that's been sorted out now, and there's been, you know, deals and payoffs or whatever, and it's all water on the bridge between those two great nations. Now they get the green light. It's got nothing to do with any of the stuff that you might have objections to. So I don't know. It's just like, oh, well, you look at that owner or look at this owner. It's like, which I understand, you might say the whole system is fucked.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have any owners in. No billionaires should be allowed in. Then you should go back to amateur sport then if you're going to do that. It's kind of like just black and white, which, yeah, you could say it has been eroded over the years, maybe since the likes of Abramovich has come in. And, you know, like I say, once the floodgates open, things flood. Like, things get ruined. Things get destroyed.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that kind of hack joke that people do. It's like, oh, I want to see drugs allowed in the Olympics. I want to see people doing the 100 meters in 5 seconds. And it's like, yeah, well, like, because it's like the Olympics is racked with drugs, so let's just let the whole thing open. It's like, yeah, let the whole thing go to shit then. It's like, you have to try and regulate somehow. Like, again, you could say, well, Mike Ashley shouldn't have allowed with zero-hour contracts because that's discriminating against the poorest in society. So they should, you know, how's he any better? It's like, he is better, actually. Like, there is you know, limits and degrees to this.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're a journalist, like, say, with the Athletic or anything, and now the Premier League is openly doing business with the country who last year very publicly fucking killed a journalist for speaking out against them, that's mental. Like, that is, like, where does the line draw where Saudi Arabia isn't going to fucking be like, hey, stop talking about us in this way? Like it's going to be so tough for journalists and people to, like, find that line. What can they say? What should they not say?
Yeah, it's just, it like I say, it's and people say this about sports, like, oh, you know, I just want to disengage from reality for 90 minutes. You know, I don't want to hear about all these problems. But, like, it's like directly seeping into it now. And it's like, it's funding your, these evils are funding your escape from reality. And it's like, where do you draw the line? We're just going to let every fucking club become this, like, just...
And I mean, with Saudi Arabia, it's all sports washing, but theirs is like blatant. We want your first thought about us to be how we won you a league rather than all of the other shit. Like, they've been doing it, and like that's the same. They took over boxing pretty much. Like, every big boxing match is in Dubai or it's in Saudi Arabia somewhere, because they're like, we don't want you thinking about our places as places where bad things happen. We want you thinking about these places as like, oh, that's where I watched Anthony Joshua fight or whatever the fuck. Like, it's like so blatant compared to like other places, I think.
But before any of the sports washing, when I thought of Saudi Arabia or Qatar, I thought they're really rich.
Yeah.
Because they have lots of oil.
Yeah.
Now I think they're really rich and they have lots of oil, and they have this apparently this awful human rights record. I haven't done anything differently about them other than the human rights record. Like, I knew they were rich. I knew they had loads of money. Now this bad stuff has been magnified for me anyways as a normal Joe Schmo. I don't think anybody else thinks anything differently. I never think, hey, look, what they did for the Manchester area, invest in that city, they have my respect, my endless respect for that, you know. That's where, you know, they basically raised Aguero, I'm pretty sure. You know, whose opinion is being changed of these? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the sports washing is working. Maybe it is working. Like, say, it's kind of glamour and glitz, but like it's more kind of like just.
I suppose it does work.
Tackiness.
Yeah, but like, I mean, someone like Abramovich, I think it's worked for him. I don't think people really talk about him too negatively now, where they used to. Definitely, like it's pretty rare you hear talks about him being a big evil billionaire now. Because
though, I didn't know Abramovich before he moved to Chelsea, before he bought Chelsea, and that's all I've ever heard. It's like Abramovich makes people disappear, and he treats, you know, like, everyone knows that the only reason he's still in business in Russia is because he supports Putin.
Yeah,
because anyone who doesn't isn't. So by association, like, you know, like, say, Chelsea fans probably love him. Like, if you're trying to sports wash for Newcastle fans or Man City fans, like, it's a small amount of people in the grand scheme to invest that much kind of money in.
Kind of, and as well, surely everyone else in the league is gonna amplify their hate towards you or what they feel about you. Like, if Newcastle now are winning the league every year, you're gonna think, fuck Saudi Arabia. They've ruined the league for me. So,
I don't. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I just think the sports watch thing is not working. I just don't see. I don't see how it's working. Because, like I say, most people had no idea about Saudi Arabia or the human rights stuff beforehand, and now it's all been magnified, good and bad. And the good is that, oh yeah, we knew you had oil. Yeah, I knew that much for sure. That much I know you're also evil.
Well, I think
crazy.
a good insight into how sports watching is supposed to work was, I think I sent it to you before this with Alan Shearer's Twitter, where he said, posted an article in the Athletic, and on the tweet it was like, this is like a great thing for Newcastle, but I'm very conscious of the human rights abuses and the problems towards that. And then his next tweet, when it came true, was yes, with loads of S's and loads of emojis.
Yeah, he's still concerned, but he's happy. Yeah. Again, but that's a Newcastle fan. That's Newcastle people. That's
apparently
sports washed.
Apparently, he's immediately got a job as a ambassador for the club, like today. So I think he literally, like 5 minutes after posting that article, they were like, "Hey, do you want to work for us?" And he went, "Fuck yeah, I do."
Yeah, I think Henry Winter as well, he was getting a bit of abuse on Twitter because he had some kind of tweet about this is what Newcastle need to do. And in the list of things, he said, mobilise a comms team for the human rights stuff. And people are like, imagine calling human rights a comms issue, you know?
Yeah,
and
really
replying back to him and stuff. It was kind of, it's a weird thing. Like, and I mean, I guess what we're going to do next is going to talk about where do we see Newcastle? Who are they going to sign?
Yeah.
You know, that's how this is going to go. Like, it is just kind of going to go away. And we're just going to guess where Newcastle is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years.
I mean, by all the talks, it's the like open letter the whoever's running the club put out today, and the interviews and stuff. It seems like they're going like biggest club in the world, bigger than, like they said, we want to be bigger than PSG. So they're going to be fucking dominating in like, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, however long it takes to get to there, by barely skirting along the financial rules. Like they'll have to play by some of them, but they can't just do it all in 1 year. I'm sure they'd love to, but it'll have to be over a few years.
No, definitely not. I mean, how it took Chelsea not long once Bramwich came in, a couple of years to win the league.
Yeah, I don't think there was any rules at all then, though. I think he had like free reign to do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Yeah, less than there are now, I suppose. But what, Man City came in 2008, won the league in 2012. So 3 years for them. PSG won it immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think they said in the next 5 to 10 years they want to win the league. I thought that's not really quick enough. I know it's a lot different, and you will be competing. Like, there's only so many players out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, assuming that Barcelona, who during the week said they'd nearly ceased to exist as a club. That's how bad things were at them. They really were bad. But assuming they come back, Real Madrid, you'd assume they'll be back as well. You know, like you look at some of the stadiums during these international games or during Champions League games, they're still pretty empty. You know, COVID is still kind of wreaking havoc in a lot of places. So when it's finally over and back to what's like in the UK right now, you'd imagine other clubs will come back. I mean, how are Newcastle going to attract these players?
They must just be planning on giving absurd money, like more absurd than it's ever been. Like, because how
Chinese
else
money?
Yeah, like Chinese money. But then that is the start of the bubble, because then other clubs are like Man City, be like, whoa, we'll give you this much. Don't mind Newcastle. And then it's like, how is Aston Villa going to compete?
Yeah, well, we saw us at QPR, didn't we? They had a lot of money, and they threw money at the wrong players, basically. I mean,
remember City spending a fortune on Robinho on like deadline day because they just wanted somebody. I mean, it does take, you need to hire the right people to recruit the players as well. Like,
yeah, City did it fairly well. I mean, obviously they redid the youth system, and I've seen that with like Phil Foden and Jadon Sancho coming through now. I mean, obviously Jadon Sancho playing for United, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's probably part as well, that you go from top to bottom. They brought in your man Tixi Bergestein, who a close personal friend of Pep, which was always the long-term plan, get Pep in somehow, hire his friends maybe. But they obviously worked for Barcelona and they did the whole thing. So I think if they do it properly, rather than just like say, right, Harry Kane and Mbappe next season, how much is that going to cost? It's probably best to build around what you have. Players like Jeff Hendrick, that's who you want to build your team around. He can be your Vincent Kompany there before the money.
I will be interested to see like which lads from Newcastle kind of stick around, because it just sounds so gas to have some of those players playing on these super teams. Like you said, Jeff Hendrick playing fucking behind, I don't know, Ronaldo. Probably he'll get bored of United.
Well, that's what was going around. I saw Jeff Hendrick threatening on Twitter. I thought, oh, what's he done? And we were just saying Jeff Hendrick scored the last goal of the Mike Ashley era against Wolves. I was like, Jeff Hendrick scored a 40-yard screamer was the goalkeeper was concussed running back into goal. Such a fitting end to the Mike Ashley era. Like the highs and the lows and just the absurdity of it all. Like, in a loss, a great goal in a loss, but the goalie was concussed. It was just so wacky,
I did you see the interview with your one, Amanda Stavely, who's like, I think she's going to be the face of it.
Some face.
I have never seen a more like evil villain interview, like at the start of a movie. When you see a film, you're like, oh, that's definitely going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Look at this interview. I just put it into the chat on this here, because I mean, it's literally, she's like a Bond villain.
She looks like she's midway through transforming into a cat.
Yeah, she looks like the villain is wearing a human mask.
I mean, she obviously had work done, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with the work she has had done. She looks awful. She looks like she's been chiseled out of plastic, I suppose. I mean, maybe we'll get rid of this bit. We'll just make fun of a woman's looks now. But, she's just a very severe-looking woman, very severe-looking woman. Looks like a Bond villain. But I don't think she'll be around much longer, honestly.
No, you don't think she's the one?
Eventually.
I wonder who... did you see Steve Bruce's interview where he was pretty much like, yeah, I'm done here. Like, they're not keeping me. Poor fucker.
Yeah, I know. Like, he's not a dumb man. He's been around long enough.
He said his next game is his 1000th game in management, and he was like, it is kind of fitting though if I am gone before that. Who else would be unlucky enough to get fired before their 1000th game? And who knows when I'll get to do that again?
Wow.
Yeah. He knows.
Pour some out for Steve Brucey.
Yeah. Hey, his 1000th game will be with Ireland. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, who's the bookies' favourites to take over?
Who's that?
Stevie G.
Oh, no. Well, from Rangers to...
Will. That's exactly who they will get. Yeah. Because he's not the end manager. He's not the one who's winning the Champions League. He is the perfect man right now. He's young. He's a very intense man. Yeah. Imagine him in the meeting with Mbappe trying to convince him to come.
Yeah.
We want to win things. We want to win things here at this club. You don't want Steve Bruce going over there. Like, hey, it's me, Steve Bruce. Like, who the hell is this? Like, I used to play for Man United 30 years ago. Ask your dad if he knows me. Your uncle? Where Stevie G is still, players playing now will have watched him play.
Yeah.
He's he's a good speaker, Stephen Gerrard. He's a very intense man. He's convinced of what he's doing if no one else is. He shows up with a bag full of money from Newcastle to try and attract players and get Newcastle up. The thing with Newcastle is they have to stay up first.
Yeah,
that's the first goal.
It would be very good if they go down now, just to see how does one of these clubs deal with that. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, because when Abramovich bought Chelsea, they were good.
Yeah, they were hovering around fourth usually.
They were good. Like they won cups and they competed, and that's why it was a good investment. It was like, this is a good team, a bit of a cash injection, getting to the next level. City were also probably more like Newcastle, I would say, at the time. Maybe not as bad, to be fair.
I think they had been.
Anyways.
They had been, but by the time they were bought, they were kind of bounced back up again.
Yeah, they had a few decent players in that, but Newcastle is definitely closer to QPR than they are Chelsea.
Yeah,
in terms of big money takeovers. But they have enough money. Maybe that's all that matters. Maybe they can just, like say, San Maximan might be the only one who stays. You think he'll be good enough to play on a Premier League winning side?
Yeah.
He might be the one before the money.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I suppose.
And I mean, if you're a Newcastle player, if you're like him, I wonder, are you buzzing that like, oh, I've really hit the jackpot of just being here at the right time, and if I'm good, I'll get a new contract. That's definitely going to be worth more than my new contract would have been otherwise.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's more pressure now. You have to actually earn it.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you like, before it was like St. Maxim, Newcastle would have given them anything to keep them to stay.
That's true.
As much as they could have given. But now it's like, well, are you better than Yannick Carrasco, perhaps?
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of player that they'll be going for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not the top stars, but like...
They'll get
he's
there
better than St.
eventually.
Maximum.
But yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see all the people they hire, because it's like, who's available? Like, will people just up and leave their good clubs to go to this one because they know how it's going to end up in a few years?
I don't know. I think it's it'll be certain types of players.
Yeah.
Like someone like Griezmann, I could see going.
Pogba.
No, not Pogba. Pogba doesn't want the pressure of having to
that's
team
true.
out.
That's true, yeah.
Someone like I know I'm picking on Atletico Madrid players here, but like someone like Carrasco. It's like no one's expecting Carrasco to win you the league, or he should be better than this. He should be leading. It's like, he's a really solid player, international, and he's going to make a shit ton of money at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And he's going to be better than what they have. So the pressure is already done, because like, I'm better than what they have. So that's ticked off the list. And like that just improves the squad slowly up into the point where they can attract, who's the best young player around? I guess
Haaland and the likes.
Someone
I
like
suppose.
Yao Felix. Again, I don't know why I keep mentioning Atletico Madrid players, but like something like that. Like the hottest property. That's where they would go. So
yeah.
I mean, how long did it take PSG to start attracting like the real top players?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Neymar the first like proper holy shit? Like, he seems bigger than that, and now you don't really think that anymore when players go there.
Yeah, like when they bought Verratti, he was very young, but he was like, this guy's going to be the next best thing.
Yeah,
and that was I think a big moment for them to get. I mean, obviously, like when Ibrahimovic and Thiago Silva left, they were huge signings for them as well. But it was like there was a certain situation where they were 30 plus, and it was like AC Milan they were not in financial difficulty as they are now, but like they weren't going great. And it was like, maybe this team isn't going to win much. Who wants them? Who's going to pay them the most money? So players like that, were like, you can get good players, but it's not going to be. I wouldn't see Harry Kane or Pogba going there. I think it's players who were.
They'll have to prove themselves first, really. But I think. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll take long. But the way they're talking, it sounds like give it a few years and we'll be fucking way up there.
So yeah, I mean, look. We'll have to just kind of see how this shakes out, but it is done. They're the richest club in the world now, Newcastle.
I think like by far, yeah.
Fuck.
Like I think they're like twice Man City. I might be wrong there, but yeah, from what I was reading, it said like twice Man City, but I think that's like twice what Man City say they have, which I don't think is actually what they have. Like I think that's just whatever weird way they run it, so they don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? What do you think of?
Yeah.
What do you think of Man City and Newcastle bouncing leagues back and forth for the future? That sounds so grim.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with the Premier League, that there is a lot of competition. Like Man City, obviously, they've had the money for a while. They haven't won every league. They've won a few, but like you still have Chelsea. You still have Leicester the odd time. That is what makes the Premier League kind of watchable. It is competitive, so it's not going to be a cakewalk for Newcastle like it was for PSG. They are going to have to actually do something innovative and different to scale the top of the greasy pole. But
it will be nice to see this be a total failure, to be honest, because there hasn't really been one yet. They're always very successful.
Yeah, so I mean, like I say, we'll see how that goes. We have international games. Ireland play tonight. Is it tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
tonight, tomorrow night, and we have the Nations League final, which I never thought I'd be excited about ever. But
didn't even know it
looking forward to
existed.
And we play Qatar on Tuesday, is it?
Not looking forward to that. That is Tuesday.
Yeah, so I'd say we'll be back after that game, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of recap. Undoubtedly another victory for Kelly. First victory? Well, first competitive victory.
Yeah,
first competitive victory, yeah. Yeah, was there anything else with any other kind of news story that we missed out on? I mean, we kind of touched on Callum Robinson, that kind of stuff. I mean,
the only other very, very small news story I just saw it before I went on this. I was looking at the football Reddit and I saw a headline of a player who plays for Roma called Nikola Zalewski.
Yes.
He's in a bit of bother because after winning the game, he went on his Instagram live on like a night out with a rapper friend called Zep Dembo. And he said, I tell you the truth. Tonight, friends, we will snort it. Mourinho, tonight we snort it. We're doing it.
Oh, no. What do you think he's talking about, Will?
What could it be?
Oh, no. Has there been any ramifications, or we have to wait and see? If there's
I think wait and see. I think it literally just came out there a few minutes.
Well, you know what? I think we have our intro for next week sorted. Yeah, I can't wait to find out the thrilling conclusion of We Will Snort It. There's the title. There you go.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before.
Nonsense. Talking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would clubs say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?